Welcome to World News by Denis Halandzovskyi. If you value calm, balanced, and fact-based reporting on international developments, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share your thoughts. Today we bring a fresh diplomatic update. President Zelensky's discussions in Berlin, where European leaders and the US ambassador addressed the prospects and conditions for peace negotiations with Russia. In the German capital, President Volodymyr Zelensky engaged in a series of high-profile meetings with senior European officials and the United States ambassador. The central topic was the future of peace negotiations with Russia, a subject that has dominated Ukraine's diplomatic agenda since the outbreak of full-scale war. Zelensky reiterated Ukraine's long-standing position. Peace must be anchored in justice, sovereignty, and respect for internationally recognized borders. He emphasized that any negotiated settlement must uphold Ukraine's territorial integrity and ensure long-term security guarantees for his country. Kyiv's leadership stressed that this was not merely a political stance, but a strategic necessity, a way to prevent any future aggression and secure a stable future for Ukraine and its people. European partners in Berlin expressed their deep engagement but also underscored the complexity of the situation. Officials acknowledged that while there is broad support for Ukraine's fundamental principles, there must also be a clear, workable framework for negotiation, one that addresses not only ceasefire terms but also mechanisms for enforcement, accountability, and reconstruction. In public remarks, several leaders reiterated their commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty, while noting that progress toward peace would require careful coordination and a unified approach among allies. The US ambassador's participation signaled continued American involvement in crafting diplomatic approaches. While affirming the United States' support for Ukraine, the ambassador emphasized that security guarantees and sustained military, economic, and diplomatic backing are essential prerequisites for any meaningful peace process. The underlying message was that peace cannot simply be declared. It must be ensured through credible deterrence and coordinated international backing. Leaders in Berlin also touched on the timing of negotiations. There was consensus that while the war's end remains a shared objective, conditions for talks must be grounded in reality, including a decrease in hostilities, strengthened defensive positions for Ukraine, and a unified stance among Western allies. These discussions reflect both urgency and caution: urgency in seeking pathways to peace, and caution in ensuring that any agreement does not undermine hard-won principles or embolden future aggression. The outcome of the Berlin meetings matters on multiple fronts, not only for Ukraine, but for European security and global diplomacy. For Kyiv, the support of European powers and the United States is indispensable. Ukraine's leaders have made it clear that military strength and diplomatic leverage must go hand in hand. A negotiated settlement without solid guarantees could leave the country vulnerable once again. Zelensky's insistence on security provisions rather than interim ceasefires alone highlights Ukraine's desire for a lasting peace, not a temporary pause in hostilities. European leaders, for their part, are balancing domestic pressures, economic concerns, and alliance cohesion. Many countries are navigating internal debates about the extent of financial and military aid they can provide, while also facing rising energy and economic costs linked to the war. The diplomatic statements in Berlin reflected a shared commitment, but also a pragmatic awareness that allies must maintain unity and clarity of purpose if peace negotiations are to succeed. From a geopolitical perspective, these talks signal that the West seeks to shape the conditions of any negotiation, rather than simply reacting to battlefield developments. Anchoring peace talks in legal norms, security arrangements, and broad international support could set a precedent for how democratic alliances engage with states that commit aggression. For Russia, the unified front presented in Berlin sends a critical message: peace will not be accepted on terms that recognize territorial gains achieved through force. Any attempt to exploit divisions among Western partners or to negotiate superficial truces is likely to meet resistance. Finally, the Berlin meetings serve as a reminder that peace is as much a diplomatic challenge as a military one. While battlefield dynamics continue to evolve, the work of ensuring durable stability through negotiation, alliance building, and clear strategic goals remains central to ending the conflict in a way that upholds international law and prevents future violence. Thank you for watching this report on world news by Denis Halandzovskyi. If you found this analysis helpful, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share your perspective. Independent reporting helps us all understand the complex forces shaping our world. Stay informed, and see you in the next update.